Yeah, for shits and gigs, why not? Let's record this just in case I do decide to throw this up on YouTube. This is my initial reaction to the drafts and everything that happened. Shout out to Elsewhere Warrior for the lovely 25 months. First and foremost, right? First and foremost, and let me see if this will work properly. Okay, it will. In talking about the draft order, because we have some trades to talk about, don't we? But talking about the draft order first and foremost, I said heading into the day that, and again, like a lot happened on Twitter today. I said earlier today that it really felt like it was just too much overhyping of this event, right? That was at 3:09 p.m. in the afternoon. I had enough time to take a shower, get dressed, and go to a doctor's appointment. And while I'm sitting in the waiting room, the DeBrincat trade went through, which I'll talk about that in a second. And that kind of kicked off the day of shit being a little bit crazy. Obviously, I think for all of us, we look at the draft and it's like, okay, every year, oh, will Capo Caco jump Lafreniere? Or not Lafreniere, but will Capo Caco make the jump? Will fucking Nico Hischier make the jump? And every once in a while, yeah, people do make the jump, but it always just seems, I don't know why I said Capo Caco and Lafreniere, they're on the same goddamn team. You get my point, though. Sometimes, yeah, these guys do end up winning out. In terms of like, oh, did this team do the right thing? Did they do the wrong thing? Look, nobody has a goddamn clue, right? That's why I don't put out mock draft videos and why I don't really find any fun of it. Like, I'm not hating on people who do. It just does nothing for me. So, like, right now, am I going to be like, oh, Montreal, you're so dumb? No, because we don't know. We don't. Obviously, you could see it working out tremendously, or you could really see it blowing up in their damn face. But, all in all, I mean, you can't really hate the move. The good thing is, and I will say this, because I have a lot of friends who were at, Bell Center tonight for the draft. ESPN, at least here in the States, obviously, didn't really mic the arena well, from what I'm hearing. Because on broadcast, Slavkovsky's name's announced, and immediately the arena just goes silent. Now, I had other people saying, like, no, we really rallied behind him after the initial shock. That did not really come across. Later, I saw clips of him going up and down the stands and high-fiving fans, so I'm sure the embrace is there, but there's no denying, like, there were reports of people booing Slavkovsky when he was walking down the red carpet, people with, the right choice shirts and jerseys for Shane Wright already made up. Didn't see who that resub was from, but I love you. So at the end of the day, I just kind of feel bad for the kid, but I'm sure it'll work out. The Devils taking Nemec wasn't a surprise at all. Defensively, New Jersey is hilarious right now. They're absolutely hilarious. Now, obviously, again, like, they don't have that bad of a setup now. Like, who knows if Ty Smith and Kevin Ball really pan out. They have Hamilton. Siegenthaler is one of the best defensive defensemen in the league. Severson's still really solid. And then in the system, obviously they took Mukhamadullin not all that long ago. Or at least that's how they pronounced it when they drafted him. It was funny. But from there, I mean, you have Luke Hughes. He's going back to college. And then from there, it's like, well, Case McCarthy kind of has a name. Oh, now we have Simon Nemec there. It takes that defense core to a whole nother level. So I do like that pick for New Jersey. And then there was the Cooley pick, which Coyotes fans will either get laughed at for years about, or it will work out very well. I'm not surprised they took Logan Cooley. I'm not. Because I'm sure if you were the Coyotes, you had no expectation of Shane Wright being there, and you probably already fell in love with Logan Cooley even though Wright was there, right? Like, that just seemed like that was their guy. Seattle got Shane Wright tonight. Fourth. Like, Seth Jones says hello. Damn, man. Damn. Like, again, there is a reason as to why he would have fallen, I'm sure. At the end of the day, though, they now have... I mean, obviously, like, they don't have the best prospect pool in the world to begin with, right? But they now have Matty Beniers and Shane Wright down the middle. We knew they were taking the slow, steady approach compared to Vegas. That looks great. I don't really have any opinions on the Cutter Gauthier thing. Apparently it was a bit of a reach, whatever. Columbus. God, Chicago is terrible, aren't they? In so many ways. The fans are great, but this hockey organization is just a shell of its former self. Just a shell. And you love to see it. You love to see it. For as long as the Wirtz family owns it, for as long as that's your logo, you love to see this team in the mud. Sorry, Chicago fans, but deal with it. The Chicago hockey team acquired Seth Jones, a pick that became Nolan Allen, and a 6th rounder tomorrow for Adam Boqvist, Cole Sillinger, Alexei Haimosalmi, David Yarosek. In the mud. Seth Jones had a better year this year than he did in his final year in Columbus. Brutal. Columbus looks so good, and that wasn't their only defensive pick. They got Denton Matejchuk a little bit later on. Fucking GG's. Like, Columbus, they're looking good. They are. They're looking damn good. Like, obviously, right at the end of last year, we saw Kent Johnson make that debut. You have Sillinger, you have Tessier, you have Chinnikov. Like, they have this pretty damn good crop of young talent. Werenski's only 24. He's locked up for another 6 years. It's a hell of a team. It's a hell of a team. They keep playing their cards right. They're going to be in the place that they want to get. I think we might hopefully finally be to the spot where Columbus is getting those consistent kind of playoff appearances. Chicago did take Kevin Korchinski of the Seattle T-Birds. Not as much of a reach as some people were saying, at least in my opinion. But the problem is Kevin Korchinski is constantly going to be compared to him. And we'll talk about that trade in a minute, so I feel bad for Kevin in that way. Trust the Yzer plan. This kid's going to be the next fucking Zetterberg, probably, because it's Detroit. Savoy to Buffalo at 9, I really like. You know, a lot of this other stuff, it's like, whatever. Honestly, I think Arizona did great here. Philip Beested was a bit of a reach from everyone I've heard from. Like, yes, but at the same time, a lot of people are saying the Arizona reached for Connor Geekie and gave up 3 assets, but I like the aggressiveness that Arizona showed. And then there was this shit show. Chicago ends up getting Frank Nazar. Again, I'll talk about the trade separately in a minute. Lakiramaki for Vancouver, I like a lot. Winnipeg reached with McGroarty, apparently. But again, when you say someone reached, who the hell knows, man? You know? Buffalo, though. Again, they go for Savoy and they go for Noah Ostlund. They pick up 2 centers after letting go of Jack Eichel. Good business. Honestly, as a Boston Bruins fan, and I've talked a lot about the podcast, that's the Tukey's Take podcast. You can watch it on YouTube or listen to it wherever podcasts can be found. I've talked a lot about the Bruins, obviously, Don Sweeney getting re-signed. And a lot of people ask, like, what do you think about other teams' chances of making the playoffs next year? Montreal, Buffalo, Ottawa. Montreal, LOL. Ottawa and Buffalo are a hell of a lot more scary. Depending on what the Bruins do this offseason, I don't know if they're a lock to make the playoffs. Feeling great about that. Nashville getting Kamel at 17, I really like. And again, a lot of these other ones, you just don't know yet. But, like Brock Faber and Liam Ogren for Kevin Fiala, it still looks good for both teams. It's a bit sad that you see Miroshnichenko indefinite, because we don't know about Russians. Miroshnichenko could have gone much higher, I think. And then there was this, where the Ducks got Nathan Gaucher for the Lindholm trade. Obviously, again, there were some other trades involved. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, there were some reaches. I did appreciate Maverick Lamoureux. He was one of the few prospects that we got to see on TV. Really looked like he was just kind of stunned and in awe and taking in the moment of looking out at the crowd. That was pretty cool. Winnipeg getting Brad Lambert. I mean, hey, boom or bust pick. We'll see. Tampa getting Isaac Howard at 31 is just a joke because, of course, they did. That's such a Tampa thing. So then there's the trades that happened today, and we can talk about this as we go through here on NHL. Just because I am working on a roster update. I don't know how much I'll do draft-wise. We'll see if we we'll see how quickly I can put something out there. Already, I did make the move for Colorado. It's basically confirmed Darcy Kemper's gone, and their tandem next year very well could be Georgiev and Francouz. So I'm intrigued to see what Colorado does. Georgiev finally gets a chance to be a starter, though. And again, they gave up a third, a fifth, and another third next year. Colorado has their guy. We'll see if they're right. So I already put that one in. And then, and then obviously I can't do anything about the draft picks. So in terms of a roster editing perspective, there's really only one thing to do. And it is to move Alex DeBrincat to fucking Ottawa. Dumb. Like I said, it's Korchinski, the 39th pick, and a third in 2 years for Alex DeBrincat. Ridiculous. One side, again, Chicago with those 3 picks could win a cup. With Korchinski leading the way. Does not matter. You lose. Good day, sir. You gave up one of the better players, one of the better young players in the NHL. Bottom line. I don't care if you look at just pure stats, what numbers you look at, if you like the J-Fresh cards, you like this, you like that. Alex DeBrincat is somebody that you keep. Oh, well, they're rebuilding. He's 24! Oh, well, they would have had to pay him a lot of money. They paid Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves $10.5 each. And those deals don't expire until this season. But, oh, you might have had to pay DeBrincat $10 million. Yeah, Seth Jones, he's making $10 million on the fucking roster right now. But DeBrincat, oh, we can't, God, what would we do if we had to pay him $10 million? It's one of the dumbest moves I think I've ever seen. And I am sure that there are some Chicago fans that just think I have a hate bias against them, for lack of a better term, because of 2015. No, it's not because of 2015. It's because of what happened before you won your first cup in recent memory. Just brutal. Just absolutely brutal. Ottawa now gets Alex DeBrincat. They already have Shabbat. They're the front runners for Claude Giroux. They have Batherson. They have Norris. They have Tkachuk. They have Stützle. 2013, not 2015. You're right. Sorry, I misspoke. I try not to remember. You know why I said 2015? Because a lot of people have been talking about Don Sweeney in 2015 as of late, and it's ruining my life. Taps, thank you for the 5 months, and it was AFC on the primer. Thank you very much. Alex DeBrincat to Ottawa, man. Again, this is why I said, like, I would not be surprised if the Sens were to be able to push towards a playoff spot starting next year. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised. Alex DeBrincat's a phenomenal hockey player. Absolutely phenomenal. That is not a player that you trade for a 7th overall pick, a 2nd, and a 3rd. That is not the deal that you make. Not even close. Gigantic L for Chicago. Not even a conversation. Not even a conversation. It's brutal. Hello, Deke Slayer, by the way. Then there was, then there was this madness, also involving Chicago, Montreal, and the New York Islanders. So, Chicago, out of this, gets Frank Nazar at 13, and they also get a 3rd-round pick tomorrow, 66th overall. But they gave up Kirby Dach. They gave up Kirby Dach to Montreal. Now, obviously, Kirby Dach here and IRL, like, he hasn't quite panned out yet. This we know. He's had some injury troubles for sure. So who knows? I mean, again, he was drafted, what, 3rd overall? Yeah, 3rd overall 3 years ago. Still young enough that he might turn it around. Chicago, I guess, goes for more of a sure, like, hey, we can build him up in our image with Frank Nazar and that 3rd rounder. It's like, you can do this if you have no faith that Kirby Dach will work out. So I don't hate on them for this as much, but you compound this with the DeBrincat move, and oof. Montreal, to get this done, gave up the 13th overall pick that they acquired in the deal with the Islanders, a 4th rounder, pick 98 this year, and Romanov. This is where it's more of a risk for Montreal. Certainly. It's way more of a risk for Montreal. Like, you are banking on Kirby Dach being more valuable to your team than the 13th overall pick or Romanov. And I don't know if that's a safe bet. I really don't. So like I said, for Chicago, I don't hate it. It's just, it's interesting that they viewed Dach as somebody who was worth kind of giving up on this early. Montreal, you better hope Kirby Dach works out. You better hope. Like, that's a lot of trust and confidence in that front office to go out and get him. And then for the Islanders, they give up the 13th overall pick for a 4th and Alex Romanov. I like Alex Romanov. He's not bad. He's not bad. But, like, the word is that the Islanders blew up a potential trade for JT Miller. Because the talk was, a trade with Vancouver got put to the side. So it had to have been JT Miller. And I just don't know how to feel about it. So again, for Chicago, and yes, I've seen apparently too that Dylan Strom's going to be on his way out, which is hilarious. Chicago's just going full tank at this point. And Buck, thank you for the gifted. Montreal, they are banking so heavily on Kirby Dach to stay healthy and to figure it out. And then there's the Islanders. Like, Romanov makes that defense better. He does. But at the same time, everyone's bringing up the Devon Toews trade. You gave up 2 seconds because you couldn't figure it out cap-wise. And now you gave up a 13th overall pick for Romanov and a 4th. So out of this trade, Chicago, on paper, are probably coming out the best because they have a completely unproven entity in number 13, Frank Nazar. Then there's Montreal, who are wishful thinking with Kirby Dach. And then there's the Islanders. Why? That's my big takeaway. Why? Romanov helps, but did you not have confidence? I didn't realize he didn't have a player face. That looks horrific. I don't know. I guess they thought Romanov was a better option than whoever could have been available at 13. And Romanov is still young, so it might not be that bad. But, I mean, right now, that screams to me, I mean, Char and Green might both be gone, and then you have maybe, like, Robin Salo stepping up. So, yeah. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's a bit of a weird one. But, like I said, for Chicago, I don't hate this one nearly as much as the DeBrincat trade, which is just horrific. But, yeah, Kirby Dach and a Habs uni. Old Clapperton himself. I'm convinced those two are related. It's ridiculous. God, yeah, then there was other trades involving picks. And then there was this one for Chicago, where I don't really feel like they got enough incentive. I don't. They acquire Peter Mrazek. Clap wishes he was 6'4". Fair point. I just don't feel like they got enough of an incentive to take Peter Mrazek away. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, their perspective, we moved down, 13 picks? We moved down 13 picks and shed almost $4 million of cap space of Peter Mrazek. That's a W for Kyle Dubas. 13 picks, but you get rid of almost $4 million of cap hit. But for for Chicago, you moved up 13 picks, and that's it? I'm just surprised they weren't able to get a little bit more out of Toronto. That's all. I'm just surprised they weren't able to get more, because Toronto had no negotiating power here. Everyone knows Mrazek needed to go. So I'm a little bit surprised that all they were able to do was to move up 13 spots. For Chicago, maybe it will work out a little bit. Mrazek is Mrazek. He's one of the most... We're going to go with enigmatic goaltenders in the league. He is a mystery wrapped within a conundrum. It's illogical how inconsistent he is. But Chicago get their guy at 25, and they take on Peter Mrazek, which, sure. Why not? But like I said, I'm just surprised they didn't get more for it. And then there was the final trade of the night. The Arizona Coyotes, man. The Arizona Coyotes. If they can just figure out how to develop prospects, they're golden, because they are actually incredibly good at fleecing teams. The Oilers needed to free up some cap space. This is fairly obvious. They decided to do so by getting rid of $3.2 million of Zach Kassian. At the same time, and again, we'll just bring it back to this. This sums it up well. The Oilers get pick number 32, where they took Reed Schaefer, viewed as an off-the-board pick by quite a few people. They give up Kassian. They move back 3 spots. Maverick Lamoureux selected a second and a third. They gave up a second 3 years from now to move on from Zach Kassian. So for the Coyotes, mwah, mwah, double chef's kiss. Beautiful piece of business from the Arizona Coyotes. I don't even know. Does it have that second? It doesn't even have... Okay, it does have that 3rd round pick in there. Yeah, 2025 second round. Jesus. Just craziness. Absolute craziness. I will say for the Oilers, it is at least them showing the aggressiveness that they need to show. A move like this for Kassian, where they give up so many assets, screams, we know we have to turn this around, and we have to turn this around fast. That is exactly what that screams. You don't give up that much to get rid of Zach Kassian unless you are probably closer to desperation mode than you've ever been to do what you have to do. And again, for a custom roster, there's nothing I can do with moving draft picks. There's nothing we can do right now with making sure the guys have their proper NHL affiliations. Like, I can't assign Shane Wright to the Seattle Kraken or anything like that. But, yeah, just... I will say, turn this around is a little much when they made the conference final. I don't think so, though. Because I don't think you can view the conference final as a win. I don't think you can. I don't think you can view the conference final as a win for the Oilers. You have the best player in the world and someone who is top 5, top 10 at worst in Leon Draisaitl, and you just made the conference final for the first time. And did they make it in 2017? They might have made it in 2017. Maybe that was second round. You make the conference final, and you get swept. Now, Draisaitl was hurt, but still, they got fucking swept. I don't, like, I get what you're saying, and that turn it around makes it sound like they're struggle busing. But at the same time, expectations are so high that anything shy of making a cup final just doesn't cut it. Colorado, they make it to the conference final. What's the narrative for them if they lose? Tampa, they make it to the conference final. What's the narrative for them if they lose? You know? Even Toronto, I feel like most of the narrative would be at least they won 2 rounds, but let's be honest, a lot of it, or some of it maybe, would be, yeah, but you could have made the cup final, and what could you do there? So, I don't disagree that it might be a little bit harsh, but at the same time, it's just the expectations are so damn high for the Edmonton Oilers that I think they have to do more. And like I said, that trade to me is them showing that aggressiveness of we need to be better. So, my initial thoughts, like I said, we kind of went through the draft. For anybody that missed it that's just tuning in, I am going to upload this to YouTube. I should note as well the Marc-Andre Fleury signing. It's the last thing that I haven't put into the game yet. Claude Giroux to the Oilers. Apparently the Sens are the favorites, the essentially hometown Sens, and I think that would be an amazing fit for Claude Giroux. If Ottawa gets Claude Giroux, they make the playoffs next year. I'll throw that out there right now. The Minnesota Wild stuck with Marc-Andre Fleury. Gotta be honest, even though Fleury, a little bit hit or miss at times, he was their best option. Because the free agent goalie market is a minefield. An absolute minefield with Darcy Kemper, Jack Campbell, minefield. So, Sens fleece the Hawks. Yeah, that was my main takeaway. Is trust me, I am frustrated for Hawks fans in regards to the that DeBrincat move. That is the one that blew my mind, man. It really is. It's simply not enough. It's simply not enough. And again, if it doesn't really matter. Let me get this deal in here for Fleury, because it's a 3.5 full no movement clause. He will be a member of the Minnesota Wild, probably for the rest of his career. It doesn't really matter with Alex DeBrincat what you choose to look at. Sens are almost as scary as your 2010 Sens. Not quite, but they're getting there, right? They are getting there. Here, let me load up a couple of things, and I'll switch the screen real quick to, again, just talk about Alex DeBrincat and just how bad of a trade this is. So, again, it doesn't really matter what you look at for how you judge if somebody's good or not. Alex DeBrincat, close to a point-a-game guy on a bad team, multiple-time 40-goal scorer. I have the utmost confidence in this guy. I do. You know, you could say product of this guy on the way, whatever, man. I have the utmost confidence in Alex DeBrincat. Shout out to Jay Fresh as well, if you care for what they put together. Alex DeBrincat is a phenomenal player. Had a good bounce back defensively this year, too. He's not elite defensively, but he's okay. And offensively, he's a great play driver and a great goal scorer. And even in the simplest of terms, they said it on ESPN, not that it means much, but at the same time, Ovi has scored one more goal, I believe it was, than ADB over the past 2 seasons. Like, it's an amazing, amazing trade for the Ottawa Senators, and Chicago got dunked on. Absolutely dunked on. So, like I said, we'll talk about hockey pretty much all night, I'm sure. There will be an episode of the Tukey Steak podcast coming out late on the 8th of July. We'll go back over all of this, but yeah, we had to get that out there at the very least.